A family on a mission to move their century-old farmstead.
I keep having this recurring dream that a tornado is going to come or it's going to tip over.
Will their precious home survive a treacherous trek across bumpy fields? Over busy railroad lines?
There goes the house, Frederick John.
And under high-voltage cables?
Could have been killed. We're a little bit of trouble.
This backcountry hike is nothing short of one massive move. Joe, Anna Lee, and little Freddie Plates are a young family living in southwest Minnesota. Like their ancestors, for the last 4 generations, they're farmers working 500 acres across the state. And it's their busiest time of year, harvest.
We farm corn, soybeans, and wheat, and we have some cattle.
Their home is this beautiful 100-year-old farmhouse. This huge property has been in Joe's family for 30 years.
Frederick was born here in 2008. His first steps were taken in the living room. This is the only home that he's ever known.
The house is also the hub for the whole extended family. But they face a dilemma. The couple have inherited 200 acres of fantastic farmland, but it's 20 miles away. One hellish commute for Joe, and one strong pull of the heartstrings for Anna Lee.
My grandmother always told me it'd be a place where she wanted someone with the name to carry on the tradition of having family here.
So they make the courageous decision to cut the commute and take the risk of moving their home to the new farm. And to double the stress, like any man, Joe won't be parted from his workshop.
Yeah, it's my pride and joy, but I do a lot of work in here in this wintertime.
So that's coming too, at a huge cost. Moving the 2 buildings will cost $26,000. Building the new basement and foundations, a further $34,000, bringing the grand total for this ambitious project to $60,000. This is a lot of money for a farmer to risk, but Anna Lee has her heart set on moving back to the family land.
My grandmother would be very proud to have us back here. This is what she always wanted, to have somebody back on the farm.
Joe and Anna Lee's farmstead has to travel over 20 miles from Revere to the new site near the town of Westbrook. Over half the trip will be down narrow dirt tracks, and one false move could see the buildings crashing into a ditch. Joe and Anna Lee call in Minnesota's leading house movers, a family-run firm of 3 brothers, Garvin, Marlon, and Jerry Marcus, along with their 3 sons, Eric, Kevin, and Dan. What could be better? A family of heavy haulers to move this huge family farmhouse. Task 1, build a sturdy platform underneath the house to support the walls as they lift it. Garvin will use steel beams for the job.
By noon today, we should have most of the beams in place unless we take a long coffee break.
But there's a problem already. A massive load-bearing wall obstructs the team from sliding the beams into place. Without these, there's no way to lift the house safely. The wall is too thick to drill through, so they'll use the beams as battering rams, hoping to hit through in exactly the right spot.
You never know if the house will fall down or not, I guess.
Hey, Dan?
Right.
Don't do this with your own house.
Cheap hammer.
They carefully thread the heavy beams through the holes. Task 2, lift the 70-ton farmhouse using hydraulic jacks, a tricky challenge. The delicate glass porch could shatter as they raise it.
The porch isn't real solid. It's got a lot of glass in it.
The hydraulics are fired up,
You ready?
and the pressure builds.
Maybe a couple windows might fall out, I suppose, I don't know.
As the house inches upwards, Annalie can't believe what she's seeing.
Drought.
Holy crap! Look at that!
It takes 6 hours to raise up the house.
This is kind of cool.
It's way up there.
It's way up there?
Yeah.
But it's not over yet. The team still need to pull the house off its foundations. And there's another problem. The house is hemmed in by several trees, which obstruct the way for the trucks. The team could cut a few down, but that still won't give them enough room to maneuver. With the house set at an awkward angle to the truck, if they pull out now, the house could topple. To get out of this tight spot, they have to slide the house onto the road sideways. That's a 70-ton farmhouse on roller skates. They slide roll beams and skates into place. They're ready to roll.
No turning back now, right there.
No, no turning back now.
Inch by inch, the digger carefully pulls the house onto the road. One jolt, and the house could slide off the rails.
Put on 2 wheels, Dad.
Yeah, now it's to the end.
The farmhouse is finally loaded, but the team still need to jack and load the workshop, and the wind's picking up.
The shop might blow away.
Coming up, can the crew raise the barn in wild weather
Could tip over and we'd be done.
and squeeze the 3-story farmhouse under live power lines?
It's still energized.
Anybody could have been killed.
Joe and Annalie's 70-ton family farmhouse has been jacked up
This is kind of cool.
and slid onto wheels, ready for a cross-country journey.
No turning back now.
But before they can hit the road, the team must lift the workshop, and the wind is causing issues.
The shop might blow away.
A giant gust into this big empty space could topple the building.
Could tip over and we'd be done.
The crew work hard to quickly wrench the workshop free from its footings, but they'll have to wait until tomorrow to move. "8 a.m., and it's the day of the big move. A 20-mile cross-country trek lies ahead. There's just time for Garvin to give an essential safety talk.
Well, let's have a safe move and everything should go good.
Sounds good. Let's get her.
Always a little bit nervous when we first start.
I keep having this reoccurring dream that a tornado is going to come, or a fire is going to happen, or it's going to tip over.
Okay, here we go.
Holy buckets.
Wow.
It didn't seem quite real to me until it's actually on the road, so this is great.
Annalie's putting the safety of her antique home firmly in Garvin's hands.
10 miles an hour is fast enough here on this road. 10-4.
It's a narrow road for a super-sized load.
Yeah, we've clipped a few mailboxes in the past.
But up ahead, there's a much bigger obstacle. Massive power cables, and lots of them, blocking the move team's path. The lines are low and could easily catch on the farmhouse's tall roof, spelling disaster. The team were hoping to raise the lines, but they're too taut. They have to be cut to make enough room for the house, but the lack of cable tension could cause the telegraph poles to fall, blocking the way. Electricians have to be on hand to prop up each pole as they cut the cables. A long, slow process that could add many more hours to this journey. The convoy reaches the first power line, but with no electrician in sight, Garvin's crew can only presume this one is already switched off and high enough for the house to pass under.
Well, that line is dead. Yeah, they were supposed to have added plenty high.
The 50-foot tall house inches underneath. Joe can't believe how tight it is.
Looked like the wire was awfully close up on top, but they made it under.
But just as they make it out the other side, a horrified electrician intercepts them.
We're set up over there. We're not ready for this. And this is still energized.
The line was live. The crew and house just had a lucky escape.
Were we close here?
Yeah, too close. The metal building, that's a good way to be looking for more workers.
After this close shave, Garvin's crew are a little shaken.
Anybody standing around the building could have been killed.
But this is just the first power line of many. As the convoy reaches the next one, the electricians are ready.
Well, we're waiting for the wire company to take down these 2 wires.
All these obstacles are delaying the move, time they just don't have.
Tomorrow's supposed to be rain, so it's to get her done today.
By the time they're free of the power lines, they've already been on the road for 3 hours. But up ahead, yet another problem threatens to derail this move. A railroad cuts across the road. Its uneven surface could bump the farmhouse off the truck. To prevent this, the team will have to quickly build a level gangway over the tracks from long wooden beams. But the tracks are bigger than they thought, and they quickly run out of wood.
The road isn't wide enough for our dollies underneath the house, so we just got to extend it a little bit.
Garvin grabs more planks and hopes they're enough to give the house a smooth ride. As the house crawls forward, Annalie is more worried about approaching trains.
They called the railroad company and let them know that it was going to be taking place, and we have a lot of train traffic on Highway 14.
It's a bumpy ride, but the house makes it across safely. And the huge workshop follows behind. But the team are still only halfway to the new site. They'll need to pick up the pace to make it before nightfall. Coming up, will the house survive a run-in with tall trees?
We're in a little bit of trouble.
And make it onto the new site in one piece? In Minnesota, Joe and Annalie's historic family farmhouse has survived close calls with power lines.
Anybody standing around the building could have been killed.
And a rocky railroad.
The road isn't wide enough for our dollies underneath the house.
The final destination is tantalizingly close. But first, the crew have to negotiate a series of tight turns.
Looks like we've got a real snaky road up ahead. Still a chance to have an accident.
But large, overhanging trees have made the problem much worse.
We're in a little bit of trouble. It's gonna take just a few minutes.
While the crew hatch a rescue plan, homeowner Joe checks how his beloved home is holding up inside.
Everything looks good so far. Looks like everything in the office is A-OK. Just want to see how crooked the floor is in the house. Here, we'll put the bowling ball down.
And it's not much better outside. The team are stuck. They fear the low-hanging branches could damage the house.
So we've got to back the truck up there and get the chainsaw going and buzz that branch off so it doesn't wreck the roof on the house.
The lower branches are easy, but the only way to reach the higher ones is for Eric to ride the roof, 40 feet in the air, cutting the branches with a giant saw as they go.
There, take her head. He's okay up there. He's all right.
Do not try this at home.
I don't like to see trees cut down if they don't need to, but it's in the right of way. They'll have to do some trimming.
Eric survives the risky maneuver, and so does the house.
They did a good job. There's no holes.
Kind of nerve-wracking sometimes.
The convoy picks up speed again. There's only a few miles to go for this heavy haul, and the team are anxious to finish the job. At the new site, Jared is still digging the huge foundation hole. Time is running out.
We're gonna put a ramp on what would be the east end of the house, and basically then they're gonna bring the whole structure, dollies and all, down that ramp inside the excavated basement area.
But the soft earth around this area could cause big problems for the approaching team. The 20-mile trek has been tough going for the fragile farmhouse, but smooth roads have kept the house relatively stable. However, as the convoy approaches the final site, it must cross dirt roads and a field. If the wheels sink, the building could be shaken to the ground.
The road must be a little bit soft here.
Garvin steers the farmhouse around the last corner with trepidation. If the wheels sink into the soft dirt at the edge of the road, the house could topple. Annalee can't help imagining the worst.
If something happened to it, we wouldn't have a home anymore.
These look good. They're not even going down.
The house makes it to firmer ground, but Joe's workshop careers into a ditch.
If that tire comes up off the dolly like that, that means that we're turning too sharp. A little bit jerky.
The crew race to keep the building moving and stop it sinking any further.
Bring it around.
Sometimes the smaller buildings can be more of a problem than a big building.
Reversing a 40-foot-long building is not for the faint-hearted.
All right, that's it.
Job's done, boys. The workshop makes it to its final footings.
1, 2, 3, again.
Much to the relief of Annalee.
I guess I didn't have to worry so much about that, but I still did, just because it's our house and I didn't want to see anything happen to it.
But don't get too excited, Annalee. There's still a steep ramp for the house to drive down. Coming up, can the crew squeeze the farmhouse down a steep slope to deliver it in one piece?
Oh, come on, baby.
This century-old family farmhouse has survived a 20-mile cross-country trek, but now it faces its biggest hurdle, a dangerously steep hill down to its new home.
I'm interested to watch them drive it in the hole. That looks kind of iffy to me, so.
The team must maneuver the building into a hole where it will sit while the foundations are built. But the ramp is steep and the hole is tight. One wrong move on the descent could spell disaster. This is the mother of all parking maneuvers, a true test of skill even for seasoned house trucker Garvin.
So get ready for a ride.
He might be smiling now, but this 70-ton lumber load could skid at any minute.
We good there?
And to add to the pressure, all of Joe and Annalee's family have come to watch.
The hole's got a steep grade to it to drive down into it. Makes me a little bit nervous.
If the wheels sink into this soft soil, the house could slip.
So here's where we're going to do a wheelie with the truck. Well, the house is kind of crooked, but it can take it.
Inches separate the house walls from catching on the side of the hole. This is one tight squeeze.
The house just seems so much bigger in this location than it did where we were before.
Oh, come on, baby.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, a little relieved. Now we can relax.
Garvin has made a big fan in little Freddie.
Thank you for moving my house.
Oh, you're
To
welcome.
Papa's. Parents would just be very happy to know that the next generation is going to be living here.
After a nerve-wracking day, the house is finally at its new home.
I can't wait till we can get back in there. That'll be great.
The family can now enjoy it for many more generations to come. 2 months after their historic farmhouse arrives, Annalie and Joe are settling in well.
I think Joe has a more relaxing daily life now because everything's here for him and he can get up and go start his work.
The whole family can enjoy their farmhouse in its new location.
We probably eat together once or twice a week with my parents. It works out pretty good.
But the changes might take a bit more getting used to for little Freddie.
One morning he asked me if we can move the house back because he still thinks of this as Grandpa's place. But I think as he gets a little bit older, he'll understand that we're gonna stay here for good and we're not just visiting.